What is sustainability? It's a complex topic that I've studied for over 2 decades, and in this video I'm going to break it down for you and talk about 5 facets of sustainability. Welcome everyone, my name is Holly Fortenberry and this is Beyond Sustainable Living. On this channel I explore and teach sustainability concepts and practices to help people live a more abundant and connected life. If you're new here and like this subject, please consider subscribing. In this video, I'm going to discuss 5 facets of sustainability: assumptions, definitions, pillars, spirituality, threats, and solutions. Before getting into the definitions, first we need to acknowledge the assumptions of sustainability. They are that resources are finite, and resources should be used conservatively and wisely with a view to long-term priorities and consequences of the ways in which resources are used. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. Alright, let's look at some definitions. We're going to go deep on the question a bit later in the video, but first let's look at some common definitions. The term sustainability is notoriously complex and varied in its definition, so in order to do it justice, I'll cover a handful. In the upcoming definitions, see if you can pick out a recurring pattern. I'll talk about that pattern later in the video. Sustainability in the 21st century refers generally to the capacity for the biosphere and human civilization to coexist. It is also defined as the process of people maintaining change in a homeostasis balanced environment in which the exploitation of resources, the direction of investments, the orientation of technological development, and institutional change are all in harmony and enhance both current and future potential to meet human needs and aspirations. Daniel Christian Wall, author of Designing Regenerative Cultures, provides one of the best definitions I've read. He defends sustainability and refers to it as sustaining the underlying pattern of health, resilience, and adaptability that maintain this planet in a condition where life as a whole can flourish. You might think sustainability is a new concept, but it's been a matter of discussion for over 300 years. If you'd like me to do a video on the history of sustainability, type the word history in the comments. In the meantime, I'll mention a couple of pivotal historical definitions. In 1804, the term sustainability first appeared in forestry studies in Germany as people began to manage the timber harvest for use as a continued resource. In 1804, German forestry researcher George Hartig described sustainability as utilizing forests to the greatest possible extent, but still in a way that future generations will have as much benefit as the living generation. 1915, the Canadian Commission on Conservation proclaimed that each generation is entitled to the interest on the natural capital, but the principle should be handed on unimpaired. This concept can be understood with an example. A tree is an example of natural capital, the principle. The interest is what is grown from that principle without damaging the principle, such as another tree. Another term for this is regeneration. If you cut down the trees, then you've removed both the capital and the interest and have stolen from future generations. Finally, the most widely quoted definition of sustainability comes from the Brundtland Commission of the United Nations in 1987, which defined sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Now, these are all very useful and practical definitions, but to really understand sustainability, it's time to look at the underlying principles. I'm curious, did you notice a pattern in the definitions? If so, type pattern in the comments below and tell me what you think the pattern is. Go ahead and pause the video here and add your comment because the next section will deal with the pattern. If you noticed a pattern that included the environment and people and the economy, good job. We're going to talk about that next with the 3 pillars of sustainability. Now we're going to talk about the 3 pillars of sustainability. The 3 pillars can be understood by seeing environmental, social, and economic factors as inextricably connected. The environmental concerns are viewed as primary because the planet is the context in which all else exists and depends. Then inside that are human social factors. Then inside human social factors are economic concerns that are an outgrowth of social interactions. These three are also known as planet, people, and profit. Planet, ecosystem services. Examples are soil regeneration, pollination of crops for food by insects, water purification by wetlands and marshes, and carbon sequestering and air purification by forests. People social include peace, security, equality, and human rights such as sanitation and clean drinking water, healthcare, housing, education, and dignified pay. Profit includes the decoupling of environmental degradation and economic growth to create sustainable economic opportunity, green jobs, and renewable energy, and adopt a cradle-to-cradle business model. Now let's talk about spirituality. Another perspective you tend to see is that sustainability is a liberal leftist movement, while resilience and self-sufficiency, such as homesteading, are often viewed as conservative right-leaning movements. But I'd like to posit the notion that really both sides are striving for the same thing ultimately. Sustainability, resilience, and self-sufficiency may drive the conversation on a different scale with a different cultural focus, but at their core, they are an organic outgrowth of the innate human desire, drive, and inspiration to respect and preserve each other and our natural resources, and adopt behaviors that help us perpetuate those values and resources. I see this as a potential way for the left and the right to find common ground and come together if they choose. In this way, we can move forward together to solve problems we all face. Let me know by typing solutions in the comments if you'd like to see a video on some solutions to some of our most critical problems. You ask, what is sustainability? And I'm glad you're thinking about this. It's an important question because understanding the meaning ensures we will make the conscious choice to thrive as a species. When you truly understand the meaning of sustainability, you will never again fail to see it. You'll forevermore be conscious of your impact, and you'll care about that impact. Now, people might not realize it, but we do know how the planet works, and we understand through the wisdom, experience, and integrity of the scientific method, the systems and ecosystem services that support all life on this planet, and we know what makes the planet healthy, and that knowledge is power. As sentient beings, we do not actually need this knowledge because we are born with the innate desire to care for our Earth and each other, as we've seen in many indigenous cultures such as Native Americans. But for many reasons, we have become removed from that inherent ability as we become more and more disconnected from aspects of ourselves and each other. Aspects that we repress, reject, and deny. That inner and external disconnection means we are no longer listening to our intuition, our innate compassion, and our divine wisdom to the degree that we are capable and that is needed. We are, in essence, cut off from our innate divinity and genius. Ideally, we need to look in the mirror to reclaim the lost parts of ourselves so we can once again regain our birthright of truth and wisdom, of caring for ourselves and each other and our earthly home on which we all depend. But in the interim, when we are not connected spiritually, science is the next closest thing to gaining an understanding of truth. Fortunately, we have good science, and now we must trust that. It's a beautiful gift that we reject to our own peril. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the threats and solutions. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I'm going to do another video about it in the future, but I just wanted to at least mention them so you get an idea. As we think about solutions, we need to focus on the most serious threats. In 2005, Jared Diamond published a book titled Collapse: How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed, in which he described 12 main problems that can be dangerous to sustainability. These are deforestation and habitat destruction, soil problems such as erosion, salinization, and soil fertility losses, water management problems, overhunting and overfishing, the effects of introduced species on native species, overpopulation, anthropogenic climate change, increased per capita impact of people, buildup of toxins in the environment, energy shortages, and the full human use of the Earth's photosynthetic capacity. So for now, I'll just briefly mention the prevailing solutions. They tend to revolve around three general ideas: affluence, population, and technology. So for affluence, the idea is to reduce consumption. Like, for example, in the Western culture, we are very consumption-oriented, and the idea is to reduce that. Population, access to birth control and education, And then on the technology side of things, it's technological optimism, which is, for example, renewable energy. And then we have regeneration. So regeneration is a concept that's quickly gaining ground. It takes sustainability even further, acknowledging modern societies and lifestyle may not have to be sustained for generations to come. First, because the structures that allow such conditions, which are economy-oriented, are incompatible with the way nature creates life. But also because humans have damaged the planet to such an extent that stopping to do harm would not be enough to recover ecosystems and the percentage of biodiversity that's necessary to keep those systems running. We need to enhance and facilitate the conditions in which life can flourish and ecosystems can recover and become resilient. So what is sustainability? It's about equity. Equity within and between generations. Most of all, it's an opportunity for each and every one of us to be more aware, more conscious, more real and connected, and more human, and live more in alignment with the abundant, creative force of life on this planet that sustains us. Remember to let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video on the history or solutions or both. If this video was interesting or helpful to you, please hit the like button. And if you would like to be notified of my future weekly videos, you can click the notification bell. Have a happy week.